So, hello and welcome to the 1% podcast. Today we have Mr. Mark Kinally on. Now, me and Mark were just chatting offline. We've been working together for nearly 8 months. By my account, Mark's smashing it. He doesn't always realise it himself, but we'll talk about that. But yeah, it's been a great experience so far. Not the totally stereotypical journey insofar as he's had a lot going on. House moves, different countries, different job changes, lots going on for Mark during the time we worked together. But being able to plot a course within it, I think, has been really powerful. So I think his story is really powerful. But also the very typical story we talk about work, busy, hectic, and not always been able to take care of himself, and he's very much started to turn that around, and it's a very inspiring conversation. So I want to kick off and talk about that, but I want you to hear from the horse's mouth, not me. Before we kick off, Mark, do you want to just introduce yourself, who you are, what do you do, a little bit about you?
Hi, Luke. Yeah, I'm Mark Kinally. I'm a financial advisor. I have worked in financial services for about 20 years in the UK. I've recently moved with my wife and two small children, not so small, 9-year-old and 6. I've got a stepson who's 21, who's at uni, who was pretty hesitant about the move, but now we're here. Absolutely loves it.
I bet.
So had a good summer. We had one morning where my wife had to put him and friends to bed just before the kids were coming up. So like crossing over, which was
Awesome.
quite amusing. And yeah, so I moved to Portugal about 3 months ago, and it's been a bit of a ride, but yeah, properly loving it.
Awesome. Well, as you can see from the background, it's a lot sunnier than where I'm stood in sunny Barnes, or not so sunny Barnes. Well, look, let's jump off, and I think a good place to kick off the conversation would be to rewind in the past. For when we first spoke, and we were just saying offline, it's really interesting. The day we record this, it's exactly a year since Mark actually first got in touch. We were just checking, and so it's serendipitous, I think, that we're talking today. The day this podcast will go out will be a bit later, but the day we're recording it is literally the day we first spoke, and neither of us realised that. So rewind to back then, Mark. What was going on for you back then that made you decide to reach out and have a conversation with someone like me? I think you probably followed me for a bit on social media and whatnot. Like, what was going on then that made you think, right, I want to have a chat?
Yeah, I mean, in a nutshell, probably pre and post COVID. Pre-COVID, I just kind of put loads of pressure on these shoulders, slightly unnecessarily on young kids. Second one just arrived, got to smash work, working all hours, up early doing emails, late at night not really watching telly or engaging with the wife and doing admin emails, stuff like that. And COVID made me realize that obviously there was a lot more to life, and seeing the kids basically every day for 4 months and then working a lot more at home and seeing them made me go, I don't want to miss out on this opportunity. And having a stepson, I know how quickly that they grow up. So that became really important to me. And I just then struggled with just life stress that I put on myself, juggling work, juggling kids. And so I did lots of different things. So my journey kind of started off with a 3-month break off booze through 1 year no beer. So obviously I didn't do the 1 year, but I did 3 months. That was really easy because I read The Easy Way to Control Alcohol. And that just switched a switch where it just didn't even make it a problem in any social setting, would make sure we weren't the earliest to leave or boring or this, that, or the other. So that was great. But then it didn't really stop any binges, didn't really change my mood, didn't really change anything else. It just took alcohol away, which probably gives you more time to then reflect and realize, and you're not numbing anything down. And then I was pretty stressed, and the kids were slightly acting up. So we had a behavioral super nanny type person come round, and there was a retreat in Mallorca. That probably changed my life in a way of doing some Wim Hof breathing, some ice baths, meditation, eating much healthier, again, no alcohol. And so then I committed to a year of no booze and did about 15 months, which again, having done the 3 months was easy, and really enjoyed it. I had some coaching, and I'd had some, not necessarily therapy, but different coaching or counseling type therapy-esque, but with business coaching in there as well. Nothing quite seemed to stick or gel or stick to. And then I did another course, well, not course, but sort of men's group, which was really good. All of these things compound were great, but the accountability piece was missing. And so I don't know how I followed you on Instagram or LinkedIn or both, or saw someone post, or it came up in my feed, which obviously these things listen to, everything. You know, as soon as you say Whoop, you get all the Whoop adverts or Apple Watch or whatever it might be. So if my phone's around, new sets of golf clubs because it's coming up to Christmas, or paddle rackets and stuff like that. But yeah, so I just had sat behind the scenes and then took, weirdly, a year ago today, to reach out to you. At that point, we were thinking about a move. We were looking at selling our house. Actually, I think the house was under offer and was about to exchange. I was looking at exiting my business and the move. And so I had quite a lot on, fair bit of overwhelm, fair bit of costs with private school fees having shot up, all sorts of different things. So I kind of then just went, wasn't the time.
Yeah.
And then in February to March this year was when I kind of engaged again and went, right, I think I've got the headspace. The move's happening. The business exit is far enough on its journey. It's now time to get accountable, fit, because I didn't want to move to Portugal and go, I'll get fit when I move to Portugal, because then none of the habits would be ingrained. So it felt like a really good time. And the blueprint was brilliant. Me having some ADHD and being fully into something and then coming crashing down. The version I am now, whilst I sometimes beat myself up, a bad week, as we were discussing before this, is basically what a good week used to look like. With, you know, better sleep, better accountability, better fitness. But I suppose I hold myself up to a higher standard now. So I just need to push, and I'm a better person when I hold myself up to that standard.
Yeah.
So am I happy? I'm over the moon, but is there more work to do, which we've discussed, and to put a plan in place and not just coast 100%.
Yeah. And I guess there's a lot going on there. What you were saying there about kind of your own personal development journey, recognizing that work at all costs, actually, this isn't serving anyone. COVID shines a light on that. Recognizing you're not healthy, I guess, physically and mentally, there's areas that you need to address, and doing a few of these really exciting things to address that. And that's amazing. But I think we discussed this, bubbling underneath this sort of level of like, this has helped acutely for a bit, and then it kind of sort of falls back. And what was, I guess, potentially lacking from that, or what you didn't get as an output, was that self-accountability and that piece around holding yourself to a higher standard, I think. And what we discussed as well was, when we had the first chat and it wasn't right at the right time, then we engaged again and you decided to move forward. And then I said to you, like, in recovery circles, they call it doing a geographical. So it's like, oh, if I'm going to move to Portugal and make everything better. I was like, yeah, but if you don't address the things that are making you unhappy and not serving you now, you're just going to move those same issues and problems to the sunnier climate that you're moving to. And I think, I'm not speaking out of turn when I say this, you were very keen to that. I want to address that stuff so that I am a better version of me when I go away, and so I can really enjoy the new life that we want to build together, right? And so the work that we've been doing has been all around that, right? And I guess holding you to account, but helping you hold yourself to account, and looking at yourself and what's important and what matters, and then building those building blocks within that, so you kind of know what the constituent parts look like for, quote unquote, a good week, and a high standard for yourself, right?
Yeah, and not being in a rut, enjoying life, taking part. Like, a lot of the journey is, I'll go onto one of the calls or a catch up with you, and I might be slightly beating myself up, or I don't think it's been a good week. And then you highlight, well, did you have fun? Like, you ate like a pig, you had a great day, or you went out and got pissed with your mates, or you went to a 40th, you had a blast. But has it made a major effect in your plan? No, it's just a blip. On we go. That mentality is brilliant. And yeah, I knew that I needed to be much fitter, much more accountable to make this move a success and the new job a success.
Yeah.
Which that's all been key, which I'm, massively ha- pleased with the results, and thankful for your input and the blueprint and collective and the group along the way.
Yeah. Well, we can often think in our problems and the stuff we've got going on, like we're an island and we're unique and no one else experiences this and everyone else is smashing it and I'm just shit. And actually, if you're in a process with others who are sharing openly about what's going on, you realize, oh, it's not just me, and not in a, is it Schadenfreude? I was the German, like, haha, look at them way. It's not like that, but it's just that shared sort of experience. You go, oh, well, he struggled a bit there, and he's okay, and he hasn't like blown everything up because of that, and he keeps going. Well, maybe I can do that, or you sharing something really positive helps somebody else, and so it becomes like a nice milieu of us collectively trying to work together to be better, and it helps reinforce the changes that you want. And so far from, I guess, the group experience detracting from that, I think it helps reinforce that and helps you build that self accountability, because you can see others going through similar problems and difficulties and taking ownership and looking at their part in it and changing. Well, then it sort of like it spurs you on to do the same as well, right?
Definitely, yeah, and especially if you're, which happens to me, if you kind of go, oh, that's a bit overwhelming, the number of the group or whatever, but you do see the notifications and you might not read them all, especially if you've had if you have adhered to, no phone policies later on
Yes,
at night, where it is a good
exactly.
time to catch up on things like that. So you suddenly go, oh, wow, there's like 40 notifications in the group. Well, I'm not going to spend
Mm.
40 minutes reading all of them, but
No.
catching up on 5 minutes of that is definitely inspiring, and hearing that what everyone else is doing is definitely helps along the journey, likewise in the calls.
And then throughout the process, we were working on you, personal development, and physically, mentally, emotionally, looking at the whole piece. The way I work is pretty holistic, as you know. And so you were doing that, but also whilst planning for a house move, not just a house move, a country move, and all of that happened within that. And I think something we talk about a lot is not just for you, Mark, just generally looking at where you are now compared to where you were versus some idealized version that you're not quite achieving. And so recognizing that as you were moving and how you dealt with that and the stress of that and everything else going on, that was done at a much better place and level than it would have been historically. And so actually you move to a new country and you set up and it's great. And yeah, of course there was stresses and it was difficult and all the rest of it. But on the flip side, it wasn't like I'm in a program that's going to derail it. It's like, no, we're using that as a vehicle to be better during this process, right? And I think that's an important way to look at it, and helps you work against that mindset of it's all or nothing. It's like there is no, it's all just constant, right? And we need to flex and flow what we do for ourselves within that. And when you move into a different country, some things are going to fall over a little bit, and that's okay. But what can we focus on to keep me sane, fit, healthy, present, and the rest of it?
Yeah, I mean, when I look back on what I've not gone through, what I've achieved, or the things that have happened since February this year, is I sold a house, moved into a rental house in the UK. I've sold my element of the business and had different trials and tribulations of that. I found a house to rent over here. I've moved the whole family over here. I've got visas over here for the whole family. I found technically two jobs because a headhunter put a spanner in the works about the other one, with which is the one I've joined. Then moved out here, settled the family, started a new job, and that Mark version 1, the amount of stress, I'm not sure I'd be here. And I'd be definitely a very different person, and I definitely would have different habits, which would be back to the bit you talked about earlier, is it's same shit, different location. And I wouldn't necessarily be making it the best success that it should and hopefully will be.
Yeah, I think that's super important to recognize, because yourself included, a lot of the guys I work with are successful, want to push themselves and want to drive forward. And in that mindset is great because it helps us and them achieve the things that you've achieved, and we want that. But it can also trip you up because you then don't give yourself credit to recognize, well, how far you've come and what you are achieving. And that's what I'm saying about that, is if you look at it and go, well, if Mark, who hadn't done a single thing differently, whatever, in March when we decided to engage, you kept doing what you were doing then, you may or may not even be here. And if you were here, you wouldn't be in a happy, content place, really relishing it and enjoying it and all the rest of it. Now, are you perfect as we sit today? As you said, no, neither am I. No one is. But you're in a much better, more empowered place having done that. And actually, you've used this process to help you sort of do that in a better way. And so far from like, oh, because you could have been like in March, you know what, Luke, got the move coming up. I'll sort that out when we get there. But all you're doing is deferring the same problem, right? Whereas actually you've done that, and it was meant this whole process has been better and easier. You know?
Yeah, and in the first, I think it was 4 or 5 weeks, I had a 2 week trip out here of holiday / recce, and didn't have scales to be looking at the scales every day in the process, which sounds over the top, but actually I kind of miss, and I need to be doing that again. Because you see, if you do have a blowout on food or booze, that it puts a bit of a blip,
Definitely.
and you're like, okay, yeah, let's not do that in such a hurry. But it was at a point where I went, if I don't do it, there's always life. There's always going to be something in the way. If I don't do it now, there's no point actually doing it. And the bad week now is I played paddle last night for 2 hours. I'm playing paddle tomorrow for 2 hours. I've swam every morning, which is getting cold because it's sort of November and there's no heating in the
You're
pool.
combining the ice bath with the swimming, right? It's perfect. You're living the dream.
Or in the gym, it actually is an ice bath, and I do 2.5 to 3 minutes in there. And I'm going to the gym. I'm much more active, and that's so a bad week now is like 3 bits of exercise, whereas that used to be a good week. Or I would go, well, I'm going to exercise 5 or 6 days. It wasn't there was no structure or accountability to it. Whereas now I feel guilty only exercising 3 days. Whereas in the past, if I could go, I will do 3 workouts or 3 bits of good activity, I'm winning. Whereas I don't feel guilty, but I'm like, I should have done a bit more. And that I suppose is great as well.
And as we know, exercise isn't the only thing. Your life is multifaceted. There's lots more going on than that. But I think there's some key cornerstone things as part of a bigger picture of you being your best we want in there, and consistent physical activity and movement is one of those things. Maybe discuss for you specifically, I think, if you're consistent around that piece and you're accountable to yourself, that is kind of like a cornerstone that other things hang off the back of. So then it'll mean that you're more mindful around what you goes in your mouth, and maybe that the boundaries around work will be better. And so it cascades a whole set of other better behaviours off the back of that being the central thing. Now, is that the only thing? No, and there's loads of other things that need to go into you being able to do that in the first place, right? But I think it's a really important one. I'm myself included. Like, I need to do something consistently most days. Otherwise, I'm not great up here in my head. Like we need it, and also I want to stay fit and active. And so, it's important to recognise how important these things are. And when we're stressed and overwhelmed, those elements can drift. But I think it's important not to let go of those things.
Yeah, because you'll just go, oh, I haven't got much time. I'll get a sandwich from, the cafe or the fast food healthy chain, and I'll have a pack of crisps and a can of Coke.
And then tonight, actually, because I'm a bit stressed, it's okay that I'm on my phone, and it's okay that I ignore the missus because I'm working really hard, and it's okay that I have a glass. And and it just all that starts to sort of roll out, right? And then before you know it, you can be like, oh, what's going on here? Whereas if we're more conscious and accountable around these areas, it allows you to catch and check that, right?
Yeah, and it's like if everyone is an asshole that day, has everyone actually been an asshole, or is the asshole what's in here and what I'm telling myself?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I use a different word, but it's like if you meet 20, if you meet 20 people, if you meet 20 questionable individuals in a day, who's the questionable individual? And it's ultimately it's you, right? Because if everyone looks like they're a bastard, it's probably not everyone else. It's you. But then you being in a state where you can be objective and see that or not is predicated on everything you do or don't do every day, habits, behaviors, all the rest of it. And so it all becomes the sum of the parts, right? What would you say then, Mark? As we sit here today, and notwithstanding we've agreed that there's more work to be done, same with me, we're all projects. What have been your key learnings or takeaways then over the last 7 or 8 months of us working together? What do you think your biggest learnings are?
It's just the small actions and the accountability. So even when I'm kind of having a week or two where I'm not quite on that, it's still in the back of my mind, and the WhatsApps are still going on. So that actually indirectly holds me to that area. But it's reading about different aspects, developing myself as an individual, the activity, what I eat, how I train, how I sleep, all of that, all of those 1% add up.
Mhm.
And even if I'm 1% a week better, by the end of the year, I'm 52% better than I was at the beginning of the year. And I think I'm well above 50% better than I was at the beginning of the year, or the
100%.
beginning of the 7-8 months ago. So it's allowing that, knowing that, and just trusting the process, because at the beginning, especially the rebel in me that doesn't like being told what to do, you kind of, that excitement of I've just signed up or I've just done this, you kind of jump in both feet forward, and then it's like, oh, I don't want to do that, and you're like, no, just keep on doing it. So it's the consistency for me of where that bad week, I don't beat myself up about it, but you're like, okay, actually, I want to do it because I
Mm.
know I feel better, and I know if I, whilst I still find it difficult journaling, I know if I do write down at the end of the day stuff I've got to do tomorrow, so it's actually out of my brain and cleared, stuff I've done. So I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, well
Well
done. That
done.
was actually a good day. Instead of like, I got nothing done. You're like, actually, I got quite a lot done. But I ran out of time and this was a curveball or whatever it might be. So your narrative is better. And then, eating, by being fit and healthy, you don't want to put crap in your body. And then when you don't have days of sugar or crap food, then you don't crave it anyway without the exercise. So I still, and having moved here with the kids and it sort of being a holiday at the first sort of
Mm.
month and people visiting and going out for lunches and dinners with friends and stuff, you know, ice cream with the kids would slip in, or this or that, and probably too much rosé at lunches or beers. And so I was like, right, that's okay. But I acknowledge that's me holiday after everything and
Yeah.
being here. But come September, kids are at school, new job starts. On we go to where I was before. And that's great.
And it's creating that new quote unquote BAU for where you are. And we discussed that, right? Because you were a bit worried at first. Oh, it feels like it's holiday. But I was like, well, it isn't. Enjoy it. Like, you've just moved to a new country. It's sunny as fuck. Like, treat it like a longer holiday. But what we don't want is you talking like this when it's still December. It's December, right? That's where it's like, maybe you've stretched this a little too far. But you didn't do that. But then even within that, it's recognizing, well, I'm going to relax things a bit. It doesn't mean I've suddenly gone feral or gone backwards, or there's a plan that I'm messing up. It's no, I'm adapting what I'm doing. I'm giving myself grace to be a bit more relaxed. I won't be like this 24/7 normally, but I'm going to enjoy it. And then as we come to now, we'll dial it in a little bit and carry on. But the dialing in and the having these behaviors, like you said, I'm really glad you said that. It's like, well, actually, you enjoy it and you want to do it. Because it's not like, if any of the stuff that we did from a behavioral, practical, perspective was horrible and arduous and shit, you wouldn't keep doing it. And if the outputs weren't great, you wouldn't keep doing it. And so what we want to do is
Yeah, I
build
mean,
a
the
life.
cold showers, I was probably a little bit ahead of. So a lot of people initially whinge about them,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
they definitely persevere because you feel freaking great afterwards, right? So that dopamine hit is brilliant, and you're like, I am awake.
Yeah.
So I've never whinged about that. That's probably what most people whinge about at the beginning, is the
Yeah, I'm
cold
not sure
showers.
about that.
I've
But then
probably
most
not
people become
enjoyed
quite.
some of the workouts, and I've gone, maybe I'll stick. And then you're like, no, I will do them because I do feel better, and I do see a difference in the mirror, or this, that, and the other, and that keeps you cracking on.
And like with all things, there's elements to the blueprint is like a syllabus of things that we work build up over the 8-week period, and we work through that, and then life happens. And actually, more importantly, it's about life happening and the problems underneath that, rather than the stuff that we do. But we need both, and it's not like we need to do all of it perfectly all the time, because that's impossible and that'll never happen. And there's certain things that land and resonate more with people than others, and so it's not really for me to say this is the way you should live, but it's like, here's a suite of things that we can deploy appropriately relative to what's going on, and most of them to some degree work pretty well most of the time. Like I said initially, there's probably a couple of things that should be fundamental to most people. Like, I don't think anyone would disagree that we should exercise or move most of the time, and that we should drink plenty of water, and that we probably should get some steps in, and that we should try and not be on our phones too much and get good sleep. Like, there's not going to be someone going, no, actually, that's bollocks. You should be on your phone more. Or no, you should be really sedentary. Like, okay. But then it's like, well, how do I facilitate that, and how do I make that happen within a busy life? And that's what we're talking about here. And that's the bit about the little 1% and going, well, what can I do to adapt what I'm doing to be able to do that. And one of the common things, we haven't got time, we both know that's not true, because there is always something small you can do, even when you're traveling and you're moving countries, right? It might not be the thing that you initially want to do. Like, okay, when you were traveling, could you do 2 hours of paddle on the road? No. Could you do 50 push-ups in your bedroom? Yeah. There we go. So you can exercise.
Yeah,
I
was
mean?
going to
It's
say
that kind of
that was
concept.
one of the things where it's like, well, I don't have time, and you're like, well, could you do 20 press ups? Yeah. Could you done 40? Yeah. Okay, well, do 40 press ups and 20 sit ups, and
Yeah.
you'll at least feel a bit better. It's not a full workout, but it's better than just doing nothing.
Zero. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think that's often where our ego won't allow it as well. I don't mean just you, me, all of it. I'm the same. I've done that before, where I've been too busy, and my routine's pretty dialed in. It's pretty pedestrian, really, because I work from home. I'm in sunny southwest London in Barnes, and so like I don't leave my bubble that often. And so I actually, although I work with guys very busy, I've got a bit of time and grace to do the things that I want. Every now and again, I can't. And like a little while back, I was running, I ain't got time to go to the gym. Kate, wife was like, what would you tell your clients? I was like, go do some push-ups then. Do you know what I mean? Like, well, she called me out, and it's true, because like we all do it. But my ego's like, what's the point? I was like, that's literally exactly what you'd say to one of your clients if they said the same thing. And the point is, they did 50 push-ups, and I felt better. Do you know what I mean? So there we go. That's it. Mark, it's been a pleasure. Really appreciate you coming on and talking. We'll have to get you on again in a few months as well, just to do to see where we're at as well, because I think it's always great to see where you are today, but then fast forward it. But it's been a pleasure working with you, and you deserve all the success you've had, and also, like you said, where you were to the move to where you are now, it's been great to see you make such a big life choice and decision and own it, enjoy it, and love it. So it's a pleasure. Yes, there's more work to be done, and we chatted about that offline, and we're going to keep working on that. Any parting thoughts or comments, if anyone's sitting listening to this, maybe they were in the sort of place that you were in a few months back, what would you say to them?
Just do something that's going to make your life better, whatever step it is. It's taken me loads, as I mentioned at the beginning in my monologue, slight rant. It's taken lots of different things to find out actually where the sweet spot is. And had I not, maybe if I'd found this straight up, would it be as successful as it is? I don't know. But just do something, because life is too short. When I put a post up the other day of moving here and different things like that, is, I'm 42. When I'm 52, I'd rather be 42. Would I rather be 32? Probably not. Like right now, the kids are young. They're amazing. I can start doing some amazing things with them. With my 9-year-old, I've only probably got 6 or 7 years, and then he's not going to want to spend so much time with dad. And I know how quickly that goes. So instilling them, seeing me work out, me being happy, and me having more activity, not being glued to this the whole time. My wife might say differently. But yeah, just do something. So chat to Luke, or do something that is going to make you less stressed and more accountable.
Yeah, I would. Well, thank you for that, and I would completely agree. And whether it's to work with me or not, I think what you said there is that if you recognise you're not happy, you're not content, something's not quite right, you're not happy, you're not content, and something's not quite right. And so if you keep doing the same stuff, you're going to keep feeling like that. And if you want to change, you need to do something. If nothing changes, nothing changes. And that doesn't have to be big, sweeping or grand. Yes, you can work with someone like me to help you do that, but like it's more than possible to do that.
The traditional English, I just go to the pub to de-stress and whinge about my wife and family, whilst it's a joke, is fairly worrying, and getting a dad bod is not a laughing matter, in my opinion, because it will cause more problems when you get older, and the work you do today, your later self will thank you for, 100%. And you'll look back and go, I'm really proud. Like one of the big things of me with booze and the start of my journey was like my dad, we went away to Portugal for 3 days golfing, when I'm really impressed with your emotional intelligence, because I could not have done that at your age. I had too big of an ego. So put that ego to one side and do something that will make you better. That's my Jerry Springer final moment.
Thank you, mate. I totally agree. What you said there about there's a version of yourself in the future. This isn't mine. I'm going to butcher it a little bit, but there is a version of yourself somewhere in the future. Looking back at you now, and whether it's with nostalgia or regret, it's based on what you do today, right? And the thing about being a role model, you already are one. It's like you decide which one you want to be, and I know that's really powerful. I think that as a heuristic is great because you are being a role model, no matter what you want to think about it. If you've got kids, it's like, well, which kind of role model do I want to be? And I think you're showing up as the one that you want to be, right? And we're all trying to do that. I think so. That's the point. On that note, Mark, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for taking the time out. I've really enjoyed this chat, and I know anyone watching will have too. Excuse me. If anyone is watching and they're interested in about working with me, about how I can help, drop me a note in the comments or drop me a DM and I can talk to you about how we can help you within the 1% and the blueprint. Otherwise, thanks again, Mark. Have a fantastic week. I'll see you guys next week. Cheers.
Thanks, Luke.